We're standing by at the longest continuous congregation for any church here in Chillicothe, Ross County. That's coming up next on Markings of History.
Tecumseh. Fascinating. Captivating. Mesmerizing. Tecumseh.
I'm Mike Smith from Litter Media, along with Kevin Coleman from Intrepid Heritage Services, and we're standing in front of the historical marker for First Presbyterian Church of Chillicothe. Of course, where it's located now, Kevin, is not where this congregation started in the late 1700s.
Right. It started on the corner of what is now Bridge Street and Riverside, which was just outside the young town of Chillicothe. And I think the Presbyterians beat the Methodists by less than a year in being the first church in town.
Now, what happened to that original church building?
I don't remember, but it went on its own way, although a replica of it was built in 1938 for the Northwest Territories Sesquicentennial. And that replica was moved to Saddle Trail State Park, where it still stands next to the moved Hewitt the Hermit monument.
Chillicothe, as we've had in other episodes, has a long history, not only of the Underground Railroad, but also trying to educate the African-American community, and this church was one of those that helped do that.
Yes, they were part of the abolition movement and Underground Railroad.
What about the current church structure? When was it built?
This was built in the late 1950s. They lost their church, which stood between, or just next to the old jail, old sheriff's residence behind the courthouse. And the first one was big, grand Greek Revival building built in the 1840s. That was replaced with a big, late Victorian stone church known as Old Rock. But during renovations in, I believe, 1957, it caught fire. And there are spectacular photos of the event, color photos that have been circulating around. So they gave up on the downtown, came up here, and built this very grandiose colonial revival church.
Has there been any of the remnants of the original church that were brought up here as like a marker or anything of that nature?
Just the one that I know of, which is at the front entrance. It's the tympanum over the main doorway, carved in stone, First Presbyterian.
Certainly one of the more beautiful churches here in Chillicothe, First Presbyterian Church of Chillicothe. For our producer, Aaron Glandon, I'm Mike Smith, along with Kevin Coleman of Intrepid Heritage Services, for Markings of History on Litter Media.